For your health this morning, have you been feeling tired and weak lately? You can't really figure out what's wrong? Well, believe it or not, those are two of the symptoms of diabetes in its early stages. We don't mean to alarm you, just raise awareness here. In fact, most of the early symptoms are that subtle. Dr. Andrew Carroll back with us today to go over some of the other signs you should be looking for when it comes to this life-changing disease. Dr. Carroll, it's something like 18.2 million Americans have diabetes, and a third don't even realize they have it.
And probably the number is even bigger than that. Now that we have this growing obesity epidemic, the incidence of diabetes is going to go up, and it's a horrible disease, and a lot of people don't know what the early signs of that can be.
Well, especially if you're a thin person. We even had Dick Clark on the set here last year, and we haven't heard from him. You have to wonder about the state of his health right now. But here he is with diabetes, and he's a thin guy, seems so healthy and active. What should we be looking for?
Well, I mean, the early signs of diabetes are related to what actually causes it. So if you're an obese person, it's a matter of oversupply and not enough insulin to handle that sugar. It's kind of like a school bus for children. You have a certain number of school children, you have a number of school buses. Not enough school buses for the children are going to go run out and cause havoc. And that's what the sugar does to your body if it's not being transported into cells. And then there's the other thing: if there's too many children and not enough school buses, again the same thing. So some of the really early signs, the ones that I have people really look out for, really do with urination. Because your body has to do something with that sugar. And the only thing it can do with it, if it's not putting it into cells, is to put it into your urine. So you'll start to notice you might be waking up in the night. And this especially applies to younger people. If you're starting to wake up in the middle of the night for no good reason 2 to 3 times a night, maybe
you're not pregnant.
And you're not pregnant.
Yeah.
And that may be one of your first signs. And then excessive daytime thirstiness, thirst, and then also excessive urination during the day.
And I also understand something about sweet breath. You can tell.
Yeah, that's one of the other signs. It's kind of a fruity breath.
Fruity breath.
And what that comes from is instead of using sugar, your body has to resort to using fat. And that's where the fatigue comes in. Because you're not using sugar, which is kind of like gasoline for your body, you're burning fat. And so you get fatigued, and because you're burning that fat, you start to have this odor from your breath.
Would you also be losing weight then?
You lose weight very rapidly. And you may notice that if you're not dieting and you're not exercising, and all of a sudden you start losing pounds for no good reason.
For no reason.
And that's because your body's burning fat.
That's interesting. There's also certain ethnic groups who really need to pay attention. What are those?
The Pima County Indian tribe has an 80% diabetes rate in their population. And then
Hispanics, African Americans.
Right. Those, and also Asian cultures. They may not be particularly overweight, but they get diabetes even when they're thin.
There's something about the metabolism. I know it's the same way with the Gila River Indian kids. So it is just such a critical thing. Lifestyle changes then. I mean, granted, if it's part of your culture, there's very little you can do other than diet. Right.
There's a very strong genetic basis to it. And then if you are obese on top of that, it really compounds the problem.
So exercise, exercise, exercise.
Extremely important. Exercise and diet are the two things that I suggest to people even before we even start talking about medications. Exercise and diet, more important than anything.
And if it runs in your family, get tested. Just be aware of it.
Be aware of it. And if you start to have some of those signs I just talked about, get to your doctor, have him do a screening for you.
Got it. Dr. Carroll, thank you very much.
Thank you,
and if you would like to reach Dr. Carroll, you can call him. Call the Renaissance Family Medical Center. It's the Medical Care Center right there, the number on your screen. Kaylee?